welcome to the Cup, my man.
Hey man, appreciate it.
The
Thanks
Close Up and Personal Show with my right hand man, my A1 since day one, Kevin Corley. Clap it up for yourself, my guy.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
The Cup, Close Up and Personal. First episode. How you feeling today, my man?
I'm just feeling good. You know, I'm enjoying life right now. Ready to get this thing started, man.
I feel you. Well, my first disclaimer is I am not a professional therapist. I'm not a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, social worker, none of the sort. I am not here to help fix your life, change your life. I'm not here to interrogate you, judge you, ask any suggestive or accusatory questions. I'm here to simply be the person that everybody should have in their life. And that is an active, effective listener, somebody that you know is actually there with you in the moment, absorbing everything you're saying. I'm not here to give advice unless it's asked or suggested, or if I feel as though it's needed. But this platform is all about you. You are the star. It's not about me. So with every amazing story that I've ever heard, I've never heard it without a beginning. So when it comes to Kevin Corley, allowing us to get close up and personal with you, take us all back to your beginning. What was it like from childhood to adolescence to adulthood?
Childhood, born and raised North Charleston, South Carolina, off of Dorchester Road in the Wayland. Wouldn't say we were, middle class, maybe somewhere in between middle class, low income, but grew up in a house with a mother and a father. Mother was really deep into the church, so we spent a lot of time, me as a kid, spent a lot of time at church, Bible study, Sunday, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you name it. I was probably at church more days in a week than I wasn't. And there, I kind of, I went to elementary school there. Pretty much, had a real brief childhood there, living there from probably since I was a baby to about 7. And then, my mother kind of got tired of that, living in that lifestyle, living in that area where we were living at, where the crime rate was high. There was still a lot of racism, problems with cops, Black people, that kind of thing. So we moved up to Somerville when I was like 8, about 8, moved up to Somerville. And there, that's pretty much where I would say like my real childhood kind of began. When we got up there, shortly thereafter, my mom took sick, and she was dealing with a lot of issues at the time. And, my dad did the best he could, to take care of her, obviously to take care of me. I do have one biological brother. We're 11 years apart. So by the time we got up to, Somerville, he finally left and went into the military at that time. And so, it was kind of like, it was just me, my mom, and my dad at that time. And my mom was sick. And so I spent a lot of time with her because my dad worked a lot. So my dad was like, he always worked. He always had 2 or 3 jobs, always worked overtime, that kind of thing. And I understood it because he just, he came from North Carolina. He met my mother in North Carolina. He was born and raised in North Carolina. And then, he comes down here to South Carolina with nothing, So there was no Corleys in Charleston until my dad came here and married my mom, And so, it was just kind of like, a grind thing. But, my dad always told me that he really loved my mom's parents. Like they welcomed him like he was, their own son. Like my dad says, like my grandfather always called him son, never called him Harold.
Right.
And so, my dad felt like he had an opportunity here, to build something for the Corleys,
right.
For us. And so, in my younger years, that was kind of like his prime of doing that. And then obviously we moved to Somerville and then my mother takes sick. So during those sick years, for my mom, she remained spiritual. She wasn't able to go to church as much. So she had like a room in the house where that's where she would worship, worship God and, go through her Bible scriptures and things like that. And, me being a kid, I kind of didn't really understand what was really going on.
Right.
Which, I'll probably go more in depth in that story when we, do something else. But, she started taking sick, but would, have these crazy things happen, like I didn't even understand. Like sometimes she would just be in her sleep and talking, like just like, talking in tongues. That's what they say. And, as a kid, I didn't understand any of that. It was kind of scary. I didn't know what was going on. My dad always told me that she had the gift of sight and there would be certain things going on with my brother at the time, when he was far away, in Texas, and she would know these things that are happening, like seeing it before it happens or seeing it while it happens. And so she was going through this kind of mental breakdown, I guess, that I've never really ever seen her like that, in those last final days. And then, the one day I'll never forget was the day I got home, when I got off the bus, was heading to the house, I had a note on the door because normally, my dad had to be with my mother at the hospital or take her to the hospital or do something. He would leave a note there. I just handle my own thing. I was 9-year-old with a pager,
Right.
So, that day I got the note, did what I normally did. My dad came home, he told me, hey, your mom, she's pretty sick, You want to just come with me to the hospital and see her, make sure she's okay.
Right.
And in my mind as a kid, I'm just like, she's gonna be all right. She always go to the hospital anyway. She's gonna be fine. I'm gonna go play with Logan. That's my best friend. I'm gonna go play. I want to have fun. So my dad's like, fine. Cool. Go ahead and have fun. So I go do that, and then get done playing. My dad calls, I guess, over to Logan's parents' house for me to come back. Come back home. I get back home. He's like, hey, look, you need to come see your mother. So by the time we get back there, she was already on life support. Pretty much.
Right.
And that was, and for me being a kid and seeing her kind of like that was like I didn't understand like what was going on as far as that goes. So I just remember sitting in the waiting room for a while, watching the Gamecocks game on that following day on the Saturday, and then and then I noticed that my brother flew into town. So that's when I kind of knew that hey, this isn't a normal situation.
Right.
Because I don't never see him. He's been to the military. Been in Korea, all these places. And when he finally got there, that's when the nurses kind of took us back, to the room where my mom was. She had passed away already, which they didn't really tell me until I kind of walked in the room and saw my dad and my brother kind of break down,
Right.
So I didn't really understand what was going on. Like, what's, is my mom dead? Is she, and I noticed that she didn't look the same, like she was like swollen. I guess her fluid or something was up, I don't know. But, it was just kind of like a real live situation, I guess, for me. At the moment, I didn't really have tears because I just didn't know, like, what does this mean? I guess it was more like my first experience with death.
Right.
I guess that's what it is, and maybe, yeah, that was probably my first experience dealing with death.
And how old were you at that point?
9.
9 years old.
Yeah. And it was actually a few days before my birthday.
Oh.
So my birthday was in that same month. My mother died October the 3rd. And then, my birthday is October 21st.
Oh, wow.
So she died in that same month.
Wow.
And,
So at 9 years old, having that experience and it being your mother, like what was the house dynamic? How did it shift after that? So, because now your brother's in the military, now it's just you and your father in the house.
My dad did a pretty good job of not really showing how much it affected him, to me at least. You know what I mean? It was a little weird for me because, I would wake up in the morning and still think that she was there. She wasn't, But.
And how long did that go on before you realized and came to grips like, oh man, like no, mom's going.
Maybe like 6 months.
Wow.
It took a while for me to come to grips with that.
Right.
Because I kind of felt like, I was in the fourth grade, so, a lot of the teachers knew what was going on at school.
Right.
I
So
don't
is
think I
you?
was supposed to really pass the fourth grade, but they placed me in the fifth grade.
Oh, wow.
I think that happened because that last half, I don't know.
Yeah. Which was
I was
the
on
right?
medication and stuff. They had me on Adderall and this other medicine.
That
I
was
guess they thought I had a problem.
That was a good call because there's no need to have added trauma when they knew that you were probably capable of making it to the next level anyway, but you just had this experience happen to you as a child. So now you say your brother's in the military, it's just you and your father is working 2 to 3 jobs, and you're 9 years old. Like where did you, how was that? What was that like? Like now you have to go to school, you have to come home, you have to do homework. Was it a babysitter? Like how did you raise yourself? Did you come home? You know how some parents will tell you once you get off the bus, you get in the house and you lock the door and you don't come out until I come home. So what was that like with mom gone, big brother gone, and it's just you and dad?
When I got off the bus at that time, I typically did what I was supposed to do. So I got off the bus, I came home. First, I had a key, I had a cell phone and a pager.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was the cool kid, what I'm saying? And then, but it was like, oh, you got a pager? I'm like, yeah, I got that. But yeah, so I normally went home, got my bowl of cereal, watched my Aladdin. It's one of my favorite shows, what I'm saying? It's like Aladdin, what I'm saying? A magic carpet. But, I came home, I did that, I was supposed to do homework, very rarely did that, and then typically I'm out in the streets, I'm out trying to, I'm out at a friend's house, I'm out running the street with Meech, I'm starting to be a boy now, what I'm saying? I moved to a neighborhood where there's a lot of boys, what I'm saying? And they're all my age. And so, I'm starting to hook up with some of these fellas where, here I am 9, 10, 11 years old, 12 years old, I'm looking to get into a little bit of trouble. Do little things, we're doing little things now. Like
trying
ding dong ditch. Ring the doorbell and running. Like, ring the doorbell and running,
Right.
Leaving the firecracker there, Throwing rocks at the window and breaking them and running, Or like me and my cousin, we used to walk around and this is bad. This is real bad. We used to walk around the neighborhood, open up people's mailbox and rip their mail. Like, oh my God. If somebody did that to me,
you're catching a federal charge.
Oh my goodness! If somebody did that to me, though, bro.
Right.
And I don't know what me and Dave was thinking.
Right.
Until we got caught. This one dude caught us one day, and I knew I should have ran. And just froze up. So what are you doing? I was like, he caught me right back. I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just get your mail and bring it to you. He's like, you wasn't about to rip my mail. My mail was ripped before. It was you,
Right.
So instead of him calling the cops, he took us around back to my dad. I don't know what they talked about or whatever. Because I was in trouble.
So were you growing up? Was your dad more strict because he felt as though he had to keep an extra eye on you because now the mother is not in the home, or was he more lenient on you now knowing that it's just you and him and the mother's not in the home?
That was a good question. He was definitely more lenient.
Wow.
It happened that way. And